Everton 0, Manchester City 2 on Saturday. Stevie Nicol alongside myself, Mark Donaldson, to go through this one. Stevie, City huffed and puffed and left it late in the end to get all 3 points to take them up to fourth. What kind of performance did we see from both sides today?
Well, fortunately for City, when you get to this stage of the season, it's really not about the performance, it's about getting the result. Because if it was about the performance, then they certainly wouldn't have won this game. There wasn't much between the two sides, which tells you all you need to know. Everton, who have just managed to get themselves away from the relegation zone. But up until probably the last 15 minutes, both sides deserved a point. And it would have been probably the right result. But a couple of substitutions, Doku coming on, Kovacic coming on, and all of a sudden, there was a pace about City's game that Everton just couldn't handle in the final third, which hadn't been there previously. I've got to say, Manchester City to watch are really frustrating. And the thing that frustrates me about them is that they don't play what's in front of them. You know, during a game, things happen and you're given situations. But for City, they don't seem to take those situations. For example, when a ball's popped out at the edge of the box, if there's a strike on, nobody wants to take it. They want to go wide, and then they want to come back around. So they're almost robotic in what they do. There's no off-the-cuff invention, it seems, for certainly the majority of this game. But then that did change when Doku came on, because Doku likes to go at people, and he did that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess in the end, for that injection of pace, those 2 goals from O'Reilly that got the first one, Kovacic got the second one, just for that little 15-minute spell, City probably, you could say, were the better side. But up until then, I'll tell you what, it was frustrating.
Yeah, Everton came close hitting the post. And you spoke about Manchester City subs, but when James Tarkowski hobbled off and Michael Keane came on, City started to get more chances after that. Everton's defence, which looked pretty good before that, didn't look as good after that, did it?
Yeah, no, Tarkowski's definitely the man in charge at the back for Everton. And when he went off, yes, going forward, Mamouche in particular looked as though he had a little bit more space and time. He did actually have a one-on-one with Pickford, who made a really good save with about, 10 minutes to go, that I thought maybe would be the last chance. But then, of course, as I said, Kovacic and Doku took over. But yeah, Everton are where they are because that's what they are. At times, they can look as though they're kind of exciting. The crowd gets behind them, but then that end product really just isn't there. And they're always going to hang on. They're always going to fight. Any team under Moyes is always going to fight from the beginning to the end. But you know what? In the Premier League, you don't win anything, and you don't get too far if that's what you are. And Everton this season aren't getting too far.
Let's go back to something you said about Man City, and you're spot on. It's a few years ago, City looked like they played without thinking. It was like freestyle football. It was get it forward. It was movement. It was pace. What's happened this season that we're not seeing that anymore?
It kind of looks and feels like overcoaching. It kind of that's what it looks. The players are overthinking, and it's we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do. You know, it's becoming robotic to watch, and when it becomes robotic, then the pace goes out of the game. And with the quality they have, when they slow things down too much, it makes it easier for teams to get behind the ball and just defend. And so that injection of pace, although it did come in this game late, is what makes the difference. You know, with the ability they have, if they can slow it down the way they used to, and then from nowhere, quick change of pace, and then catch you sleeping. That doesn't happen too often anymore. Certainly hasn't happened too often this season in particular. And so for me, I think Pep has to do a little bit more thinking. I think basically what I'm saying is I think he has to give players a little bit more freedom to make their own decision in certain positions, in certain places, at certain times, and not feel as though they have to follow orders, basically.
I covered a lot of Manchester City pre-season, and you did as well on ESPN FC. And you see Nico O'Reilly, you see James McAtee, Oscar Bob. That was really unfortunate what happened to him. Going forward, how much do you think Pep will not rely on youngsters, but intersperse them into his team? And how much do you think he'll use the checkbook to strengthen what needs to be strengthened?
Well, I think he'll do both. Quite frankly, I think absolutely he will do both. I think the fact that Guardiola's moved back to centre back is because of O'Reilly, in my opinion. And as you said, a couple of other young players that have come on and started playing a lot more games. Obviously, Oscar Bob, if he gets fully fit. But then there's no question they need to go and strengthen with bona fide top talent, which obviously I think they will do. But that's probably going to be more to do with the middle of the park. Maybe another centre back. Well, definitely a centre back. So basically, I'm saying both of those things you mentioned, I think they will do. Yes, they will bring bona fide players, experience, top quality. But yes, that will be interspersed with some youngsters like Oscar Bob and like O'Reilly in particular.
Where does it leave Everton, Stevie? Because David Moyes has come in and done a really good job. He's steadied the ship. There's a group of 5 teams now. Everton in 13th, and the 5 teams, including them, the 4 below them. There's 5 points separating them, but they're miles clear of the bottom 3. So he's done what he had to do. He's got them safe. What do they need for next season, and what should be their aims with 2 games left in their old stadium, Goodison, ahead of their move to the new stadium down by the docks?
Well, I think they have to make sure that the steps they take are forward steps, but I think they have to make sure that the little steps. And the first little step is don't be involved in a relegation from the start. Start the season well, get yourself mid-table, consolidate in there, and then you start trying to build over the next 2 or 3 years. I think that's what they have to do. They have to calm down, little steps in the right direction, and that first step being not to be involved at any stage or even spoken about as relegation candidates. That would be a step forward right now for the start of next season for Everton, and then you go from there.
Looking at the league table, Liverpool and Arsenal, top 2. But then there's 3 spots available in the Champions League, and there's 5 teams going for it. So this win today could be really big in the grand scheme of things, albeit City's run-in is pretty easy compared to the others. So who's going to miss out, if it is 5, because there's a few things that could happen for more teams to get into the Champions League. You've got Newcastle in 3rd, City in 4th, Forest in 5th, Chelsea in 6th, and Villa in 7th. All those teams are separated by just 5 points.
I think Liverpool, Arsenal are safe. I think Newcastle will be in it. I think City are going to do enough to be in that top 5. So for me, it's, in my opinion, it's going to be between Forest and Aston Villa for that last spot. The question is, can Forest go back to the Forest of the majority of this season? They've had a real stumble, a couple of losses in a row. They've dropped down to 4th, as you said. Villa, we know, are capable of going on a run. Unai Emery has been fantastic this season with his team. So I really think that last spot is going to be between Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. I think Chelsea are just dropping like a stone. So it's tough to pick. I'm going to pick Forest because they're holding that spot right now. But it wouldn't be a shock if Villa came up on the rails and Forest dropped out.
Let's end with Manchester City, the big 3 points today for them, courtesy of the 2 late goals at Goodison. How much work needs to be done in the summer for them to be, whether it's title favourites over Liverpool and others, or just in contention for the title, something they haven't been, surprisingly, this season?
Well, I think how the easiest way to figure out what has to be done or how much work needs done is, this is a team that won a treble last year. And this is a team that are fighting to be in the top 4 this year. That tells you all you need to know. That's how much work they've still got to do.
Can they get it done? We will see. But they got it done today at Goodison. They left it late, but 2 goals in the final 15 minutes. And Manchester City move up to 4th.